Hi, Giovanni. Thank you so much for your poems this week, for submitting this work. I want to start with Saturday Morning, your first poem, which I think is fun and funny and tender, and there's moments of irony and there's moments of humor. I think it's really this full-blooded experience of a poem, and I did very much enjoy hearing you perform it. But I have to say, I don't know that you can't. I don't think it's true that you can't understand it without performance. So I also think it's okay to just write poems because you want to perform them sometimes. If you think about Shakespeare, right? Shakespeare wrote his plays to be performed. So now, generations of students are subjected to reading his work on the page. But when Shakespeare wrote his plays, he read them to be interpreted and performed by actors. So, I do think that it's possible to write something for performance and still have it enjoyed on the page. Um, I think that one of the ways that you can do that is with punctuation, it's with line breaks, it's with imagery, and I do think you have a handle on that. So, for example, about halfway through the poem, you say psych, right? Where there's this shift, and you're talking about, oh, wait, I joined the military, never mind, psych. I feel like starting the stanza with psych and including the exclamation point actually functions in the same way on the page that you read it and that you performed it in your video. So I think you already have pretty good instincts when it comes to that. Um, so I'm not worried about that. I will say, I was curious why you ended and a special no thanks to my dad. I really didn't want the poem to end there. I read a lot of angry dad poems, by the way. I had a very poor relationship with my father. He was out of my life by the time I was 2.5 years old. And so I have written a lot of poems that mention my father, or the content or about my father. Um, but I think it's this like, it's sort of a universal feeling to address a parent, either a mother or a father. So many of us have the experience of having conflict with our parents. And so I wanted you to expand on that thought a little bit rather than just ending it in this sort of um, dramatic way. So something to think about. Um, so she did that. I enjoyed this poem. I enjoyed the repetitions of those mountains are. I will say that I would cut this first section here. Those mountains are majestic, mesmerizing, marvelous, mysterious. I think mentioning those four alliterative words at the beginning of the poem really takes away from their impact later on in the stanzas. So I would just start your poem, Those Mountains Are Majestic. Where I'm from, you don't see that in the city, right? That's where I think you should start the poem, and go ahead and cut those first few lines. um Let me remind myself about your questions. Could I have used more descriptive or figurative language when talking about the mountains? um i i I don't think so. I mean, I think that the thing that you're playing with here is sort of the repetition of mountains and then a descriptor, majestic, marvelous, etc. So I think if you're playing with that device, um, I think if you're wanting to expand some of the figurative language, what you could do is think about synonyms for marvelous. What are synonyms for marvelous? What are synonyms for mysterious, majestic, and what am I forgetting? Mesmerizing. And mesmerizing. What are some synonyms for those words? And then how can you describe that particular word in an image? Even if it has nothing to do with mountains. So consider that. Thank you again for your work this week. I hope you're having a great day.